Gotcha. Yes, sir. So if you've ever filled out an application for a loan, or even online or even in person, what happened to that application? I can tell you, I worked for a company before I was in law enforcement. Right? When I first moved here, I was hustling. I moved from New York City because of the recession back in 91. And I was hustling. I was working for temp agencies and so forth. And one of the jobs that I got when I moved here was working for a company that was doing a garbage removal. And one of the things they had us do was go into a storage facility and take out all of these boxes that they had in the storage facility and dump all the boxes that had certain dates on them. And what was in those boxes? Credit card numbers. The people had made purchases from a business. They had credit card receipts where you used to swipe the receipt, swipe the credit card. They also had applications for people's credit to try to get credit at the company. And they were just dumping it in the trash can. Now, today, of course, but back then, nobody even thought anything of that. Now, how many people actually went behind us and pulled that information? We have no idea. Well, people are still doing that today, even though they may not be dumping stuff in the trash. When you get rid of a computer, do you take the hard drive out and damage it beyond repair? Or do you sell the computer to somebody, you just reformat the hard drive and sell it to somebody? And then somebody like me who has the knowledge can go back and unformat that drive and retrieve all your information. So our information is out there. It's just a matter of, if somebody's going to use it, but it's there. So I usually go over a couple of things when we're talking about identity theft, like how often does this occur, right? The odds are 1 in 5,000 that someone will be the victim of a violent crime. That's the stuff that we lock our doors, we have alarms, we have dogs, right? We have all these different things to protect us from. 1 in 5,000. 1 in 2,600 people will be the victim of some sort of heart disease. 1 in every 130 people will be involved in a traffic accident. But the odds are you being a victim of identity theft, depending upon which agency you talk to, is either 1 in 3 to 1 in 10. How many people in here have been a victim of identity theft? So we have one at least in here. I have myself as well. How many people in here know somebody that's been a victim of identity theft? Look at the hands going. So it's prevalent. Now, and that's just the identity, like I said, that's just the identity part of it. The scams is what comes later on. So you lose your data, right? 1 in every 2 people has already lost their data. Your data's already out there. But it's what they're doing with it. That's the issue. They get credit cards in your name. They open new credit card accounts or new credit accounts. They change your billing address on current accounts that you currently have. They get utilities in your name. They do utilities fraud. They open wireless accounts. And they don't want the wireless account. They don't want the phone number. What do you get when you open a new wireless account today? Free phones. You open a wireless account with Verizon, you get a free phone. Some of these companies are giving away more than 1 free phone. They give away 2 or 3 free phones when you open an account. So if I open an account in your name and you have AT&T, but I open a Verizon account in your name and I get 3 free cell phones, 3 free iPhone 16s, and then I just go online and sell them. And I've made myself $3 grand. And it's that simple. They don't want the account. They just want the devices that come with those things. Again, they love to get utilities in people's names. And you may see me going through some of these because some of these aren't going to fit what we're talking about today. We've also seen them get jobs in other people's names. We had a young lady, I say young lady, she was retired and she was collecting Social Security. And right after tax season, she got a notice from from Social Security that she wasn't going to be receiving any more Social Security payments because she made too much money. Well, what happened was a lady that was living in Geismar, Louisiana, was using this lady's social and name, just the same date of birth, with just a different year, and was making money working at a plant. And so you can just imagine how hard that was to clean all that up, right? So one of the things that we're getting where we're getting to with this is the scams. So current trends that we have going on nationally, one of the trends besides credit card fraud and government documents and benefits fraud are phishing and phone scams. Now, how many of us have received a call from the sheriff's office saying that you have an outstanding warrant? You have? I got the same call. I work for the sheriff's office. They didn't do their homework too well on that one, right? Last week, a guy came into the sheriff's office asking for an agent, a special agent that was supposed to be at the sheriff's office in my building. Now, we work out of special operations. So no one should be coming to our building. Our building's not open to the public. Well, the gentleman came there. He said they told him to come to that building at that time and turn over his receipts for his Bitcoin payments to pay his warrant off. And he had sent him $16,000. Now, when I told him that this was fraud, his first words, "I knew it." But he still did it because they're very, very convincing. They have you scared out of your mind. And he knew it was wrong. He knew he was being scammed, but he sent the money anyway. Now, so you'll know, if you happen to fall victim or hear of somebody that does this, get them in touch with our office as quickly as possible. Because being part of the Secret Service Task Force, we have folks at the Secret Service that can track those Bitcoin payments and can hopefully return your money. Sometimes not all of it, but as quickly as you can get it to us, we can try to reverse that. So that's good news, but of course it's bad news that they lose their money, but it's good news that there's something that we can possibly do about it. Now, the issue with that is that gentleman that I'm talking about, they were able to freeze that payment, hold it, but it's going to take over a year to get that money back. A lot of us can't afford to wait a year to get that money back, right? But we were able to freeze that situation for him. It's just going to take a while because it's a new thing that's going on, and it's hard to adjudicate. It takes a while to get that through the courts and get that reversed. But one of the common questions we get about the Medicare folks, they're not allowed to call you. Medicare will never call you about changing a plan or ask you for your Medicare number or ask you for your Social Security number. We have to make sure that folks understand that Medicare, these people cannot call you and solicit that kind of information. Okay? If you do receive one of those calls, just hang up. Don't try to discuss it with them because they're very convincing. They can be convincing. But do not talk to them. Local trends that we're seeing here are credit card and debit card fraud and phishing and smishing. Now, phishing is when somebody sends you an email, right? Posing as another company. Like we have one going around for Chase, where it looks like the Chase website. You click on the link, it brings you to what looks like it's a Chase website. It's not the Chase website. Well, smishing is when they send you the SMS text messages. That's when they send you a text message. I get them myself all the time because my wife and I, of course, we order everything and have everything on delivery, right? So I get the message, your delivery is delayed. Please click here if you would like to reroute it or change the date of delivery, and don't click on those things. My brother was smished. My brother started a new website for Formula One racing, and he bought ads for his Formula One website using a legitimate company through Facebook called Meta. Well, he made that purchase and someone figured out who he was and sent him a text message. Now, the text message to his personal cell phone, and I can get your personal cell phone number for about $24.99 a month. I can subscribe to a service that'll give me your personal cell phone, right? So it's not hard to get. And they sent him a text message right after that ad posted, asking him if he wanted to extend that ad or let it just finish how it normally would. And he clicked the little link and it looked like it came from Meta and it went to a Meta page and he did all his little stuff. And shortly thereafter, they took down his entire new business. His Formula One page was taken down. His Instagram page was taken down, and they locked him out of everything. And so he had to go through the steps trying to regain access to all of these things because they took control of his new business. They took total control. So they can be convincing and they're very crafty. So even he, knowing me, he still did it. He called me. I was working at Apple that day because I work extra duty at the Apple store. And he called me that day and asked me, what to do. And I helped him through it. Some of these pages that I'm showing are some of the phishing. You guys can't see it, but the folks online can. Some of the phishing emails, and it shows a good copy of the Chase Online form that was sent that people. You've had that? Yeah, the Chase Online form. It's very convincing. And folks at home that are looking at this, it says Chase. It looks like Chase. But there's several things on here that should that should give it away. One of the things is it asks you for your user ID and your password, your name, your work number, home number, mobile number. Chase should already have all. But one of the things that to me would be a big giveaway, it says to create an emergency password that is the same password as your email password. And the reason they do that is because once you give them your email password, they lock you out of your email. And now you're not getting the notifications that they're changing all of your data to everything else in your emails. So to me, it's a big giveaway, but to some folks, like one of the ladies who fell victim to this, she filled it out and they took control of everything. Her bank accounts, her Amazon account, everything. And they were ordering stuff everywhere and with draining her bank accounts. One of the other ways that they do this is caller ID spoofing. So like I got this call, I can show it to you on my phone. I got the call Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Chase Bank in Lafayette called me. Now it just showed up as a number, but they called 3 times. And so I looked the number up and it says Chase Bank, Ali Saloon, Lafayette, Louisiana. So I said, oh, this is a good one. So I called them and sure enough, it was Chase Bank. Because I looked it up online, I found the number, I did all my research and I called up the lady and the lady who answered the phone was one of the assistant managers. And I said, they're using your number. They're spoofing your number because they're calling my phone. They're not leaving any messages, but someone from your branch is calling my phone, appearing to be your branch. But I'm sure it's a spoof. And I don't do business with Chase Bank in Lafayette. And they wouldn't have no reason to call me. And the lady said, well, there's only a couple of us here at this time. And she checked and she said, no, none of us called you. So she made a little email and sent it up the corporate chain that their number's being spoofed. But that spoofing software now, there's companies out there that are trying to work against the spoofing, right? So people say, well, it should be easy to turn off spoofing or to shut down spoofing. It could be if the companies would purchase the the hardware that could stop this. But imagine asking a telephone company or switching companies to replace all of their equipment, right? They're not going to do it. So there are companies like RoboKiller, which is one of the companies that I've tested out, where the call comes into RoboKiller, but it goes back to that. And if it doesn't connect back, then they know it's a fake number and they don't even send it to you. Okay. Or it comes up as possible scam or possible spam, but they do their homework on that end. So RoboKiller doesn't even send the call to you if it's not somebody that's in your call list that you receive calls from, and they test out that number and determine whether or not it's spam or not. But well, you could, yeah. RoboKiller is something that you can purchase. It's an app that you can use on your device. But the caller ID spoofing itself is a very simple thing. It just, whatever information you want to send to the person you're calling, you put it at the top, right? The number you want, the number you want to call, you put at the top, and the number that you want to appear on their end is what you put in at the bottom. And whatever number you put in, that's what shows up on that end. And so, of course, people are trying to get legislation drawn up to stop people having this type of app. I don't know how that's going to go, because spoofing has been around for a very long time now. But that's how they do it. And so that's how some of these folks are getting these phone calls saying, hey, I'm your grandson and I'm stuck somewhere and I need some money. Because they've already, like I said, it's identity theft, right? So they've already gotten your information. They know you have a grandchild. They know their phone number and your phone number. So there's a lot of information they've already collected. So then when they call you and they spoof that number, it shows up on your cell phone that it's your grandchild. So and even when we interview these folks, we ask them, did it sound like your grandchild? Well, not really, but they said they had a wreck, and I figured, they were kind of not right because they had a wreck, or, they got arrested. And so I didn't question it because it came from their number. So these are the things that they're doing. And that's how this all ties into that identity, because they've already done some homework about it and gotten that information. Why do people use caller ID spoofing? Prank and harassing calls, right? People prank each other all the time. I have here that wives check up on what girlfriends and wives check up on their boyfriends and husbands, because wives never do anything wrong. Right? Private investigators use caller ID spoofing. Some private investigators that I know, they use it because when they're trying to find somebody or they need to call somebody and they're being sneaky or trying to stay out of sight, they'll always answer a call from mom or dad. So they'll call them, they'll spoof mom or dad's number, and that person will answer the phone. And of course, people use it for fraud, which it wasn't made for, but that's what people use. Some of the cases we've worked, scammers impersonating FBI agents or other government officials. A gentleman that was working, he came to the Apple store to buy some Apple Anywhere cards. Now, he had been on the phone with this FBI agent for hours. And he had convinced him to come to the Apple store. The gentleman was 94 years old. He came to the Apple store to get some Apple Anywhere cards in the amount of $500 a piece. And he wanted him to buy bunches of these Apple Anywhere cards because it's just like cash. Okay. But when he gets there and he's telling him what he needs, of course, I'm working there, so I hear this. And I tell the man, hang up the phone. And he's like, no, it's an FBI agent. He had him convinced he was an FBI agent and he was going to jail if he didn't send this. Come to find out, in the 4 hours before all this, he had gotten all of his bank account information. He had had him making all these trips to try to get money out and do things. But one of the things he had done is he had gotten a hold to his username and password for his retirement account. And he had over $1 million in that account. Now, thank goodness it was a Sunday, which is why he had such trouble getting money. But it was a Sunday, and we were able to contact his retirement folks and put a fraud alert on his account and freeze it, so they couldn't do anything with that money. But come Monday morning, they were going to have a field day and have a big payday, because they were going to clean that account out. Absolutely. But it took me talking with him for a very long time to get him to remember exactly what he had done with these folks. So in addition to the FBI agents, we talked about people posing as sheriff's deputies, and the bank in Lafayette. These are the type of scams that are going on right now. And I mean, this is stuff, I'm telling you about stuff that's happened within the last few months that we're dealing with. So if you're getting these phone calls, what I tell my mom, who's 81, right? I tell mom and my dad, he knows, because but my mom's the one that, listening, she answers every phone call that she gets on her phone. And I have to tell her, Mom, don't answer the phone. Just don't answer it. If you hear somebody asking you for your information, just hang up. Now, she hasn't been the victim to that extent. She was, at one time, she went to the Jack in the Box on Government Street and made a purchase at the Jack in the Box using her debit card through the window. And several hours later, got a phone call from Chase asking if they wanted to transfer $24,000 out of her money market account to cover the purchase that was being made online for $24,000 worth of Nike products. Yeah. So this is the type of stuff that's going. So just don't answer the phone. Don't answer the phone. And in that case, with her debit card, I tell folks, if you're going to hand someone a form of payment, hand them cash or a credit card. Because that's cash, it's through the window, you're going to get your change. Credit card, if they steal off of that credit card, it's not your money. It's not your money. That's somebody else's money. Don't hand anyone your debit card. If you want to make a purchase with your debit card, make a purchase at, point of sale yourself, and always use your PIN code. Don't make purchases as credit on your debit card. Always use your PIN. So how do we protect ourselves from this kind of stuff? Number one is to deter. You want to deter this type of activity. Shred your financial documents, protect your social security number and all of your personal information, right? Don't carry your social security card with you. Back in the day, you used to have to carry, you're supposed to carry your social security card. You don't have to do that anymore. I suggest you don't. Leave all that stuff locked away at home or in a safety deposit. Never click on links in emails. I can't say that. Yeah, never click on links in emails. Never click on links in email. That you heard about the breaches that happened with the state and with several agencies. Somebody clicked on a link in an email. Do not click on links in emails. If you are trying to change your password and they send you a link immediately and you know that you just asked for that, that's fine. But if you get an email from your bank saying, look at this, click on this, if you get an email even from a friend that you haven't spoken with or didn't know that was coming, do not click on those links. I don't click on links in emails. If there's something that I need to do, I go to the website, go to the web, type in the website, go there myself. Do not click on links in emails, please. Don't use obvious passwords. I'm a computer forensic examiner. We go through people's phones, right? Something that we do. Criminal case, they give me the phone. What's the most common password on somebody's phone? No, on your phone. Their date of birth. Your date of birth. Date of birth. It's so simple. Now, yeah, we do get the 1, 2, 3, 4s and the 99999 and the 00000. We get a bunch of those. To give you, for instance, iPhone, today's iPhone, let's say. Some of them I can get into, some of them I can't, depending upon if it has a new software or whatever. But if I was for a 6-digit passcode on an iPhone, for me to get into that phone, if I don't have the passcode, and if it's not, because it checks all the 111s and 222s and all that first. And if it's not your date of birth, it could literally take me up to 24 years to hack that passcode. 4-digit passcode, 6 months. That's the longest it would take. Android, that's a whole different story. I could probably get an Android in about 2-3 days. But it could take a couple of months. But the passcode, the harder you make that passcode, the better it is. Because nobody's going to figure that out. But just to give you an idea, the difference is years that it would take me to get into that phone. It could literally take 24 years to figure out a 6-digit passcode on an iPhone. The difference in the software and so forth is what makes it different from Android and Apple. But you can make your Apple code, your Apple passcodes, longer than 6 digits. You can use a password rather than a passcode. That makes it even harder for somebody to get your information. So consider these things when you're setting up your devices. That's why I'm telling you this is. How to detect this stuff? Of course, mail or bills that do not arrive as expected or on time. Unexpected credit card statements in the mail should be a definite red flag, right? Denials of credit for any reason should be a red flag. Calls or letters about purchases that you did not make. Inspect your credit report. There are some free things out there that you can use to inspect your credit report. One of the ones that I've tested, Credit Karma, works great. You can watch, you can view your credit and monitor it and actually watch what it does every day if you feel like it. You can pay for some of these services, like Experian has an app where you can actually lock your credit. Of course, with all of the breaches that we've had recently with some of these state agencies, they suggest that you lock your credit. And if you lock your credit with one of these apps like Experian, you can lock it and unlock it as you need to. So, of course, that's a paid service, but the different agencies have different ones. And so you can lock your credit. And then when you need to apply for credit, you unlock it, run the credit, and then lock it back. So there's that as well. And review your accounts, the financial accounts, regularly. I can't tell you how many people we know that don't review their accounts every month or even a couple times a month. Like the one person that didn't know that they were paying for someone else's Cox account for 5 years. I don't make that kind of money, so I would notice that quickly, but we've had it happen. So review your accounts regularly. And if you do see that there is actual fraud, contact credit bureaus, all 3 of them. If you call one, they'll say, well, this does it for all of them. Don't trust that. Call all 3 credit bureaus and place a fraud alert on your credit. Okay? So make sure you call all 3. That's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Close any accounts that you find that are fraudulent immediately. Some people like to try to leave them open and get in touch with us to try to catch people in the act. Don't do that. Please close those accounts as quickly as you can. And also report any activity to the Federal Trade Commission. If you have been a victim of an identity theft or any of these scams, report it to the Federal Trade Commission. The reason for that is they track these scams. they actually learn who the perpetrators of these scams are. And if you were the victim, we've had it happen. I've seen it personally, where when they catch these folks and they have these nice cars and big houses and boats, they auction all that stuff off and they disperse that money to the victims. So if you happen to be the victim, there's a possibility that you can get your money back. One of the cases that I worked, gentleman got $74,000 of his money back because they were able to connect that particular scammer to his particular crime and return 74,000 of stock. Yes, ma'am. Yes, it's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Well, yeah, I have the numbers here for you. I didn't know if anybody wanted to write them down because you can get them online, but the number for Equifax is 800 for me. Yeah, our number. Yeah. So call the sheriff's office. Yeah, call the sheriff's office, but call the Financial Crimes Division. That's 225-389-5009. 225-389-5009. That's our Financial Crimes Division. And even if it's not our jurisdiction, they'll point you in the direction you need to go. Yes, it's 225-389-5009. Yes, ma'am. No problem at all. Now there is identity theft insurance. Some people have it now with their homeowners insurance. Whoever handles their homeowners insurance will offer identity theft insurance. There are also separate identity theft insurance companies. There's quite a few of them out there now that do a whole slew of different things. Some of them just sit in, right there and wait for something to happen. And then when you contact them, they handle it. When you are the victim of a scam or fraud or something like that, and your information is out there, it can take hundreds and hundreds of hours for you to clean that up. The identity theft insurance companies do all that for you. They also have the attorneys to handle all that, all of that for you. Some of them, you have the ones that, like I said, they just sit back and they respond whenever you have an issue. Some of them actively watch your credit or surf the dark web for your information. And when they find your information, they alert you to that. So you can change passwords, change emails, because they'll find your email and your password on the dark web and notify you and let you know that you've been compromised. Some of these websites now, they'll even tell you when you put in the password that password has been compromised. We're starting to see that now too. So some of these companies are actually watching the dark web. So when you put in your email and you put in that password, they say, can't use that. That's already been on the dark web. So we're starting to see that. They're getting proactive with it. So, but definitely they have those companies that are watching your credit for you. Of course, it costs a little bit, right? It's going to be upwards of $50, $60, $70 a month. But they'll, yes, ma'am. But for some people that have that kind of money, they might need to do that because it protects them. So once something is detected, their folks get right on it, and you don't have that liability. So of course I can't afford that, right? I have the one that I have, it covers my whole family and it costs like $20 a month. Yes, ma'am. Avast, they have identity theft protection.
Supposedly they watch all your stuff on your computer, your laptop.
Yeah, because I know Avast has virus protection. Yeah. See, and there's a lot of companies doing that. I know Avast was one of the ones that we used for virus protection back in the day. I haven't used them in years, but I'd have to do some research on it to see if who's running that now and how good they are at it.
So
but
I use professional.
You use Avast Professional?
It's strict virus protection. And,
And VPN too?
yes,
Okay, yeah,
but I find a lot of sites I go to, I have to turn the VPN off.
yes, yeah, because the websites, because people are using when you're using a VPN, some folks are using VPNs to attack websites. And so those VPN IPs get flagged by the website and you can't use it because they have that negative activity going on. So yeah, so it gets kind of difficult. What I use, I built my own VPN on Amazon Web Services. So I have my own VPN with my own IP to get around that. But it's some work. It's some work to do that. But yeah, I understand that happens. Even with some of the other commercial ones like who's that? ExpressVPN. You can't use their VPN to visit certain websites because people are just using them to attack websites and they're seeing that, so they're logging it and not letting you use that, unfortunately. That is my presentation. I know we kind of ran a little over, huh?